Good afternoon. The November 8th meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust will be in order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 25th.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the October 25th meeting. Voting, please. It's approved. Next item is consent docket. Are there any items there to be considered individually?
I'd move the consent docket subject to individual consideration.
And I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Hearing no need for individual consideration. Voting, please. Consent docket's approved. Next item is the concurrence docket.
I'll move the concurrence docket subject to individual consideration.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the concurrence docket. Is there matters to be discussed separately? Hearing none. Voting, please. The next item is the emergency contract.
I'd move that, and I'd want to note the perfect timing of Trustee Greenwell, because we needed 4 votes, and he walked in at exactly the appropriate time.
Exactly. Any discussion about that? It was deferred last time because we didn't have 4 votes. So, voting, please. Item's approved. Next item also needs 4 votes. Resolution ratifying the actions of the general manager concerning the emergency.
Move the item.
Second. Motion and a second to approve it. Comments, questions? Item's approved. Next item. Resolution approving and authorizing a drinking water state revolving fund loan from the Water Resources Board. Comments, questions, presentations?
Move the item.
Have a second? Have a motion and a second to approve item 6. Voting, please. Item 6 is approved. Next item is item from trustees. Anyone have a comment? Hearing none, we'll go to the general manager report. First item on the general manager report is a presentation on the capital improvement plan adjustments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sam Samani with our engineering group will be here for a presentation on the 72-inch water transmission main break.
Good afternoon, Chairman and trustees. Not this past Saturday, but Saturday before, we experienced a couple of breaks on our assets that we have. One on the 72-inch transmission main that comes out of Draper Water Treatment Plant and goes out west of the town, and another one on the 60-inch pipeline, the pipeline that serves us from Atoka. This particular slide shows a little bit of history of the main breaks that we've had. We've had, with this last one, about 18 main breaks on the 72-inch. And it happened on Saturday morning at about 8:30 in the morning, and it's just immediately west of Midwest Boulevard. The pipeline was installed around 1981. And 10 years after the installation, we've been experiencing these breaks. As I said, the break occurred at 8:30. We were able to isolate the break area in about 2 hours, by about 10:45. And then we were able to repressurize the system and restore pressure by about 4:30 in the afternoon. That's like about 6 hours getting it back into service, so that we can get back and repair the segment that had the main break. We went into acquiring an emergency contract, and we bid that the day after the break, and it was about $273,000. And repair got completed this Sunday, and the main will return to service today, a little bit later on today. There's a total of about 7.5 miles of this concrete pipe that needs to be replaced. We had already had in our CIP that we would replace all of those lines by 2023. For those replacement projects, we've already solicited engineers and selected who the engineers are for the design. And our plans now is to expedite the installation of the new replacement project within 3 to 5 years. And then we'll bring any changes that need to be done to the CIP for approval as we go a little bit further with the project. On the Atoka break, the break happened between Stonewall and Ada, and it also happened on that Saturday a little bit earlier, about 3 o'clock in the morning. You see these pictures over there of the break, and what happens usually is that there's a weak segment of the pipeline that is susceptible to break, and there's some delamination of the pipe and corrosion that happens around the steel reinforcing pre-stressing wire, and they give up, and then they cause a break. So on Tuesday, we retained an emergency contract to do the replacement, about $393,000. Contractor is currently working on the project. We hope to have it completed by the end of this week. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Can you put the graphic back up there on the, that one, you got it. How far apart were the breaks on that? Go back to where you're showing the breaks. How far, in time, how far apart were those breaks? Do we know?
First break
When?
was in '89.
Yeah.
89?
Yeah.
And the last one was 27 years later, is that in 16?
Yeah, and all the main breaks, there's been 18 instances, they all haven't been water main breaks. One of them was a rolled gasket, one of them was an independent
Right.
contractor drilling in it, one of them was a hydrant
Right.
lead. So there's really about 12 of the 18
That's
were really
correct.
line breaks.
I agree.
And so it's about one every other year.
That's correct.
Although the frequency has increased slightly recently.
Correct. What we have here that's really helpful to us is another parallel line to the existing 72-inch line that makes sure that we have service once the isolation is done. So
Well, there's no reason to believe it was faulty construction or faulty materials or...
we suspect it's faulty material. The pre-stressing wires of a kind that was not suitable for these pipelines. This is based on the research that's done in the past on this particular pipe.
Well, when did we figure that out?
I would say about around 1990s, 98, 2000. Yeah. And it's very difficult to come back and replace it unless you have a substitute line that allows you to do that. So we spent some time in the past few years to accomplish that parallel line so that now we can come back and actually replace it.
I didn't understand. You said did you say 1990 or 1998?
1998.
1998. So the line had been in how long at that time?
Almost 18 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have any reason to believe there's anybody that we could hold responsible for it then. It's been that long ago. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at this time.
I think it'd be very
you know,
good.
I just look at, when you look at this graphic and you see, 9 line breaks, or it says 17 line breaks in that short area, you start to wonder what's something happened there that
Yes.
we should have taken care of before now.
The fact of the matter is, and particularly back in the 70s when this was put in, there aren't good options for pipe materials for large diameter 72-inch pipe. Your choices of pipe material that are steel, which does have corrosion potential
Right.
on steel pipe, and PCCP, which is a cylinder pipe it's a cylinder wrapped with concrete coating, wrapped in wire, another concrete coating on it. And that pipe has been, industry-wide, has limited life to it.
Yes.
So the original line was put in 78? Is that
Yeah.
right? I'm just trying to
I
make sure it
believe
wasn't put it on my
1981.
watch.
I think 79.
Well, 79, well, I wasn't here then either, so.
Okay.
Okay. Just dragging a branch here a little bit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have recently found out that we have zebra mussels in Lake Hefner, so Lisa Hubbell's here to give you a report on those zebra mussels.
Good afternoon, Chairman, trustees. Recently, early October, we were notified by the Oklahoma City fish biologist that there is a confirmed population of zebra mussels at Lake Hefner. An angler that was fishing off the breakwater at Hefner first identified them. So our city fish biologist contacted ODWC, and they came and took 4 plankton tow samples from 4 locations around the lake. The initial location was at the breakwater. They also took a sample from the Oklahoma City Boat Club, and they took a sample from the north side near the dam, and a 4th sample at the canal entry area. Those samples were sent to the Bureau of Reclamation Lab in Denver, Colorado, and they tested and confirmed that there were significant populations of zebra mussels in the system. They identified the veligers, which is the adolescent phase when they're free floating through the system. So a little background on zebra mussels. I mean, we're becoming more and more familiar with them. They are actually native to the Caspian Sea, and they were first identified in the Great Lakes area in 1986. They've slowly migrated through the waterways down the Mississippi. They were first identified in the Arkansas River in 1992 and in Lake Texoma in 2009. They are an aquatic nuisance. They reproduce quickly, typically over 1 million eggs within a spawning season. They damage the aquatic ecosystem, and they're real small. They only grow to about 1 inch wide, but they are notorious for attaching themselves to infrastructure and damaging equipment. I actually have a sample. If you would like to take a look, it was given to me by the city's fish biologist. So here are some pictures of the types of damage that the zebra mussel can do. From the fishery standpoint, they eat plankton, which basically takes away the food source for young fish, the fingerlings that are introduced into the lake. So it can have damages to the fisheries. In infrastructure equipment, they attach to the inside of pipes, so they can potentially clog the pipe and interrupt our water system. They also attach to marines, like boats, outboard motors, the docks, courtesy docks, wet stalls. So potentially it can impact our system with additional costs for treatment, as well as removal, testing, maintenance costs. So until we can actually develop a full, robust program for this, we're encouraging the public to follow the clean, drain, and dry principles, which is basically to inspect their boats, to drain the water from all the, like the live bait or the well containers on the boat, to pressure wash the boats. The zebra mussel will die at 140 degrees, so hot water will cause them to die. Or if people are unable to wash their boats, that they allow them to dry out for at least 5 days, which will help deter the spread of the zebra mussel. So we're going to, the ODWC has given us a sign that they would like to post at Hefner, which is on your screen right there. It's basically an initial sign until we can develop our public education campaign and have uniform signage that we'll place at all the lakes in the metro area as well as in southeast Oklahoma, now that we have introduced them. So the next steps, I should let you know that yesterday we actually met with ODWC and their aquatic nuisance biologist, Kurt Tackett, and he kind of gave us some pointers. We also met with the trust engineer, and the trust engineer is going to basically research what the best practices have been, analyze potential impacts to our system, develop recommendations, and we expect him to bring back a report to Aquid, probably the second meeting in December or the first meeting in January. We will also be developing a public outreach and education program, and we're exploring partnerships with ODWC. They expressed a possible interest in helping to fund boat high-pressure water stations to help clean boats. So we're going to continue to explore those options and start our educating the public in relation to this nuisance. Is there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. The last report's actually good news. Brett's going to give us a rundown on the bond sale and our rating reports.
Mr. Chairman and trustees, we received our AAA rating stable for both Standard & Poor's and Moody's, and we completed our bond sale on November 3rd of last week. We issued $97,135,000. The sale started at 9:30. It ended at 12:30. We had significant interest in Aquid's bonds, which was great news. Enabled us to lower the rate. Due to the structure of the bond sale, there was a $17.9 million premium. From these proceeds, a $56.7 million escrow was put in place to pay off the callable bonds from 2009A series. The gross savings from the 2009A refunding was higher than we anticipated due to the rates. It was $5.669 million. The net present value of that savings was $4,029,000. The total issuance costs were around 0.6%, very, very low compared to other sales. And the interest rate, the arbitrage yield interest rate was 2.47% for both the refunding and the commercial paper refunding. The yield, including issuance costs, for the 2009A series was 3.187, and for the commercial paper was 3.294. So the rate was very, very good for us, and we had what we consider to be a very positive sale.
Good.
The bond rating was AAA stable. One of the things that was unique in our situation that helped us not only remain AAA with both agencies, but have the stable attribute assigned is that we have a regional provider for the combined statistical area for Oklahoma City, that the growth for the whole region assists us in having stable revenues. And that contributed greatly to their thinking is why they continue to rate us as stable.
Any questions about that? That's good. Good. Comments, citizens to be heard, comments? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.